reminded of. Thank you. Our next speaker, and I'm sorry we're so over Francine, is Francine Houben, the founder of the very important and innovative architecture firm based in Holland called Mecanoo. Francine's going to tell us a bit about the firm, so I won't take up any more of her time, but suffice it to say that I saw about 10 or 15 years ago her library at TU Delft, the Delft University of Technology, one of their important early buildings, and it was really absolutely fantastic. So I'm very excited to hear Francine talk now as well. Thank you.
I'm very happy to be here back in Hong Kong, although I also have some emotional disappointments by not winning the SICU Center, but I always love to come here, so thank you for inviting me. I promised to talk about public buildings, and to be honest, I'm a little bit in between books. My last book was Dutch Mountains, and my new book is People, Place, Purpose, and that has to deal with public buildings, so it's also the name of the exhibition we just had in Berlin. And I come from the Netherlands. The office is based at Delft, but it's a very historical city. It's where our kings and queens are buried, but also the city of the Technical University of Delft, where I went to school, and where we did also a lot of buildings, for instance, the famous Library of the Technical University of Delft. And what I want to show you today, what I want to share with you, is that if you see at the work of Mecanoo, my work, they all look maybe different, but for me they are all the same, because they all have the same heart. So for the upper one is the Open Air Museum in the Netherlands, and that one is the library. They're both made for a country, this is the Netherlands, that is made by the rivers. The rivers bring clay, and from the clay I can make an interpretation. For instance, the bricks, they come from all these different different rivers. They all, I have a little bit, should I talk to this one or should I talk to that one? Or is it both working? It works? Okay. And so they both made these two buildings out of clay. Or this one, the Maritime and Beachcombers Museum in this very small island in the Netherlands. What we made with reused wood, from old wood. What gives it not only a beautiful way, how it's part of the composition of this very small island, it also gives beautiful interior with daylight. And we're still on the level, we are on a better position as Malmö, for instance, or Sweden. We still have beautiful summers and still have acceptable winters. Or why this building, what is in Spain, was a theater and conference center. Why it looks like this. It's made from the earth of Spain, and we were inspired by the trees, the fruit orchards that grow around this city. So we used the colors of the fruit, and we even interpreted the little leaves of the fruits in that scheme. And even the interior, and the interior can also be very iconic, is part of the fruit trees and the little leaves inside. Or this one, what is in my own city, or I live in Rotterdam, but this is in Delft, the railway station, will be an underground railway station with municipal offices. And what we did, we gave a reinterpretation of the city of Delft. Again, as I told you, is the city, very historical city, the city of Vermeer, the famous painter, the city of the Technical University, and also, so this is a very old map of Delft. So we wanted to combine in this railway station that you feel that's still old city, but also innovative city. And innovative, you always have to be careful in architecture because it can become old-fashioned in 5 years' time. So also you have to give your own reinterpretation of that. So for instance, the way we clad the whole building is with glass, what is partly very innovative glass, and the other part is almost like it's handmade glass, traditional old glass. Or the way we made the whole hall. It's an underground railway station, what's maybe nothing special for you, but for my country it's special. So we made a beautiful ceiling that map what I showed you, what is maybe just this size. We made it 120 meters big, made with a graphic designer. So that really, when you enter, the building is still under construction, but when you enter Delft, or when you arrive in Delft, or you leave Delft, you really have a kind of experience of the old city of Delft in a more innovative way. Mobility is also very much my theme. For instance, we work a lot in Taiwan. This is what we're doing now in Kaohsiung. It's the whole area of the central station of Kaohsiung, elevated, maybe like, they also want to be a very green city, like you just thought about Malmö. So what we do, we make an elevated roof, what protects you from the rain and the sun. The cycle roads are going over it. And for it was very important, like what we did with the ceiling in Delft, to give it a kind of Taiwanese reinterpretation. So I like, for instance, all the lampions, the colorful lamps. So that will be reinterpreted in the ceiling of this huge public space, new public space in Kaohsiung. And I would love to tell you why I love the color blue, Mecanoo blue. For me, it's like a material. And it's very essential for me that architecture should touch all the senses. It's about it's about hearing, it's about seeing, it's about touching, it's about experiencing space. And for me also architecture is urbanism, it's landscape, it's interior, it's restoration. I want to bring all these disciplines together in one hand. So I call my whole office a symphony orchestra. I promised to talk about the Library of Birmingham and the Wei Wu Ying Performing Center in Kaohsiung. But also about people, place, purpose. Because normally what you get as an architect is you get the site. So this was the site. In Birmingham, it was just a parking place on the main square of Birmingham, next to a repertory theater, an existing theater, and another building. And this was the site for the library. And we had to combine these two buildings into one, in one organization. And also as an architect, you always get a brief. I also have, people always say, you know, like yesterday Irma Boom was talking about that the book is gone. The book is not gone. And also libraries are not gone. And also you have to be aware that libraries are not about books. Libraries are about people who want to exchange knowledge with each other. You can do it with books, but also with many other things. The Library of Birmingham is also a function of, this is a traditional library, a public library. This was the repertory theater, so they will share a theater together. And this also the huge city archive is part of this library. This archive is, they have a huge archive, a very important archive. The whole of Shakespeare is in it. Birmingham used to be a very proud city in the history. Maybe 200 years ago, Birmingham was one of the most important cities in the whole world because of the industrialization. And this is the way I like to design with my office. I try to observe. I try to understand for who I'm designing. For instance, this was a picture made in Birmingham. When we started this competition, I can tell you, a little bit arrogant maybe, but I know everything about libraries. I know everything about theaters, or enough. But I didn't know anything about Birmingham. I had never been there. So what I did, I tried to photograph. And all these photographs, I communicate them with my office. So I try to understand, and I walk and walk for 3 days just to understand, to observe, for instance, the whole population. And you can see it's a second city. It has many identities. It's also a very young city. It's one of the youngest cities of Europe. Or I could see that it's a city what after the Second World War, or was in the Second World War, was bombed. Or even what happened after in the 60s and the 70s by the architects and politicians. You know, it's big infrastructure came through this city. And what I discovered by walking through the cities, because for me it was very complicated as a pedestrian to understand the city, I recognize what I call the red line. And this is the red line you can see on this drawing. I was walking, and here is our plot. And this is the railway station, and these are the photographs I made. So we made a collage. And what is interesting about Birmingham, maybe two important things for me. You see many different architectures and urbanism. You see the old city, you see what happens in the 40s, in the 50s, in the 60s, in the 70s, in the 80s, in the 90s. Every period, architecture and urbanism want to do something else, but don't want to make a coherent city. And also what I felt soft hills. Maybe as I told you, I come from the Netherlands, what is a very flat country. I was born in the south where they have hills. But it gave me the possibility that to realize that you can also build underground. So here you can see also the railroad tracks go underneath the city. And this is what I said. If you want to make this important building, you have already so many incidents in this city. I think if you make a public building with public money, you should bring coherence also in the public space. And every project for me in the beginning starts with a dream. I had this dream that I wanted to make this building as a dynamic journey, not only going up, I didn't want this, not only going up, but also even going down into the square. And the other dream that was part of it, this journey should be a kind of a journey through book rotondas, through rotondas. And I knew we had to design the building for 10,000 people a day. And for that reason, you need escalators. So imagine going through a building with escalators through rotondas. At the end, it was my dream to see the stars and the sun. And another thing what I always do is try to understand the materials of the city. Because in the whole composition of an existing city, what should I add? What should fit in between that city? Also, if you look at the city, especially maybe the European cities, maybe it's different here in Hong Kong, but you can see the proudness of the old city. And the blue and the red bricks with a lot of decoration, craftsmanship, the craftsmanship of the steel industry. But even I did like very much this industrial image of the gasometers. And also, Birmingham is the city of the jewelry. They have, and it still is, 200 years of famous making of jewelry in that city. So I wanted to show in the building and bring back proudness, civic pride, showing craftsmanship. And I also went to, on top of the hill is the cathedral, and it has circular windows. And I saw how beautiful in the inside the circular windows gave beautiful shadows on the floor of the cathedral. And as I told you, I wanted to fit in this architectural rhythm of the city. This was the existing library, a building from the 60s. You can like it or don't like it, but I can tell you one thing, it's not inviting and welcoming for a father and a son of 5 years old. And I think it's very important, if you think of libraries, it should be for everybody, but also very important for the very, very young generation. You want them to come back. You have always an awareness of a history of a city. For instance, this is our plot, and this is the way Birmingham used to be 200 years ago. So to find out a strategy, what to do on that square. As I told you, this was the sketch. This was the building next to us. This was the repertory theater. We could have demolished the repertory theater, what is a building from the 60s, 70s, to make one building, the library and the repertory theater. But we felt that was not nice in the rhythm of the city. It was much nicer to make 3 buildings, 3 palazzos, I called it, each from this own time period, with its own material, and how that every building also reflects in the square. And the whole building, and also the public space around it, should be part of that journey. So that's why we made a huge canopy and an outdoor amphitheater. The whole building, we made a huge lower ground floor, connects underneath through this building. So it was my idea that this is the red line, as I showed you, that even walking outside of the building, you're part of the library. And you can hear, because you can have performances into this kind of own acoustic space where you can make music, where you can have poetry, where you can have, there have been Shakespeare performances there. So it's part, a public building is nothing without public space. And I called to my client and to the city, I want to make a people's palace for you, for them. So a kind of unique space that this outdoor amphitheater, you're standing outside and you look back and you're part of the library and you look back to the library. So it embraces the public space, people walking on the red line. For me also a public building should show optimism and should be educational. So why we put the stepping down of the volumes is to create gardens, to create what is a library without a garden nowadays. Especially also in England. And Birmingham is a very green city, but not a city centre. They have all these grey roofs. So we wanted to show them how you can make beautiful gardens on roofs. And this was the way we put all the functions, stack them together. Very important, as I told you, the city archive. You could have put them in the basement. It was a very emotional discussion. We don't want to put it in the basement because then it would be symbolic that you will never use it again. So we did put the archive here, so to make this part of the building as public as possible, because in a way everybody wants to be on the ground floor. So we created many ground floors. Ground floor, a mezzanine level, a mid-lower ground floor, a mid-lower ground floor, and the lower ground floor. All connected to the entrance and to the square. And the higher up, it becomes more a research library connected to the city archive. And the space in between where the city archive and the public library connects is the book rotunda. It was always part, like I told you, we are the symphony orchestra, all the disciplines, we bring them together in one hand. We also worked together with one engineer, it was Happold. So they were really part of our design process because, as I told you, the journey of the different rotundas was also very good for the whole sustainability and how we wanted to deal with a combination of natural and mechanical ventilation. Sometimes I feel the most discussed issue on this building is the facade. This is a picture I made 21st of December just for the opening of the building, the longest shadows. I always have to explain, as I told you, different materials for every period. That was essential. The circles symbolize for me bringing together all the people from Birmingham, the many identities, the technical, the historical part, the industrial part of the city, and also the craftsmanship of the jewelry. So it is all these different stories, but it was very much designed from inside. As I told you, for me, architecture should touch all the senses. I hope you can hear. Did you click the... it's in a way, the building is an ode to the circle. It embodies universality, unity, timelessness. It's a theme what you can see through the whole building in the interior. Of course, the color blue is also part of it. The way we did put the shelving, how we get a lot of people sit in different ways in the building. But maybe I want to tell you what for me is a library, because the building is too big to explain it all in such a short time. A public building needs public space, as I told you. A welcoming entrance for everybody, protected from the rain and the sun. A building that's an entrance that is very open, well connected to the outside, but also to the inside. It's a building where you have a big screen, because a modern library has many activities. Very important, and I can tell you in every culture it's different, to put a lot of attention to the children's library. Here in the UK, in Birmingham, it was really a library in a library. In my country, I would do it in a different way, and the library I'm doing in Washington will also be in a different way. Very important to bring daylight in. So this is this lower ground floor with the music department, and how it connects that space, my dream, with an outdoor space, and bringing this library also to the outdoor space, that if you just walk and pass by, you can hear it. A building, a library, is also a business and learning center where you can learn languages or write your CV. So it's a very economic importance for the city. When you go up, and now here, as I told you, is the book rotunda, where we bring together the public library with the research library. A very traditional space, but it's used in many ways, where you can see the daylight coming in because of the radial positioning of all the shelving, but you're also already connected daylight coming from above. Walking through the building, the shelving is still important, but maybe there will be less in the future. The way, as I showed you in the movie, how it's important, people love to sit around these bench tables, and there are many ways of studying in a library. Individual, little rooms, more lounging, sitting on tables in an active way or in a more less active way. Very important that to also attract all the teenagers. Also be aware that you first stimulate people to solve the problems themselves, and then you otherwise help them, and that the people of the librarian is not a police agent. Very important, the gardens, as I told you, also the educational part of it. This is the discovery garden, where we even have fruit growing here, and vegetables and herbs, but also place for many activities. There is also partly a museum in the building, and we work together with this British Film Institute to show all the movies in an individual way. Again, you go up through the sequence of rotundas, and now you get to the part what is more the research library, where you can research the work from the archive. You go up higher and higher, as I promise you, to see the stars or the sun and the daylight. And this is also part of the mixed mode ventilation system. Always beautiful to look back from that point. You look into this more traditional detail, this beautiful Hungarian peak oak flooring back into the book rotunda. And then you come to the secret garden, and I can tell you this secret garden is not secret anymore. And where there grow a lot of herbs, where you can really smell the different seasons and the different herbs. And then on top we did put the Shakespeare Memorial Room. It's a 200-year-old interior space that came from the very first library, and we took it with us. It's always nice to take something from the history with you to look and give perspective to the future. We never imagined in what's maybe not a lot for you, but in a library with first year we had almost 3 million visitors, and they also wanted to go to the Shakespeare Memorial Room. Very important that a public building is also a catalyst to develop Birmingham. That area around it is very important in investment. Also, what was, I think, very good for the Library of Birmingham is that Malala opened the building because she lives in Birmingham, and for her, libraries are extremely important, and also very much for young female, young women. I show you quickly a little movie how much this People's Palace.
This central library here is now the biggest in the whole of Europe. I can't tell you how proud I am of that.
The 7th floor secret garden, the whole, basically 360 of the whole of Birmingham City Centre. You can't beat that. You get a view of everything.
Me personally like the entrance. I think the entrance is the best bit. That's me personally anyways.
The ring feel to it, you know, like you've got the bull rings, you've got the circle of life, the circle of knowledge, you know.
I wouldn't associate it with being a library, no way. Maybe art and design gallery or something.
Yeah, it looks like a gallery.
It doesn't look like library, 100% not.
I was deeply impressed when I saw the design in the newspapers initially, and I thought, that's brave. Now, it really is brave, and to see it realised is just absolutely wonderful.
I like it because you can smell the plants and there's lots of nice books around.
Downstairs was fabulous, you know, just the idea of just having, you know, places where kids can sort of lie, because that's how they read, you know. I've never seen a kid sat at a table reading a book as is prescribed generally.
Repertory theatre, what we kept.
When I'm older, when I become a dentist, I'm going to be coming here because it's next to my house, and I'm going to be studying in the library, and it's going to be really fun because I'm going to feel like I'm at home.
Now let's move from Birmingham, to UK, to Taiwan, very close to you. And I don't have to maybe explain you the culture of Taiwan. It's Kaohsiung. I would say I'm specialized in second cities. For me, a very informal, pleasant city. Of course, as you know, it's subtropical. It's, we have to deal with tropical climate, with earthquakes, with typhoons, with hot and heavy rainfall. And on a former military compound in this harbor city, they want to create to change it in a city park with a cultural building. It will be the National Performing Arts Center, and I can tell you it's big. And I remember coming there for the very first time. It was a gated place, and there was just barking dogs, trees, and barracks. But what was for me so interesting was the trees. I always say the trees say something about the earth, about the climate. And and also the form of these trees, how they kind of make a kind of special form, how the roots connects to the walls and then get into this huge horizontal deck of trees. And also I was observing how people use the city. You can see people doing, we had to make a cultural performing arts center, but the informal cultural performing arts is in a way very active. So people in the metro or outdoor space, underneath canopies, before mirrors, they're doing that, and underneath the trees. It's very, it's dark at almost 6 o'clock, yeah, maybe normal for you, but then everybody comes out. Everybody is living in the street. Also, a part of our building is Chinese opera. This is a picture I made in Kaohsiung. It's so nice. People experience the theater in the outdoor space. So this is what we did. This is the concept. These are the banyan trees on the side. And we transformed it in a space, in a kind of new public space. And the trees itself becomes the Performing Arts Center itself. Because as I told you, it's huge. I think it's maybe the biggest performing arts center in Asia, maybe even in the world, built in one time. It's a concert hall, it's a lyric theater, it's a recital hall, it's a playhouse, it's an open air theater, and other activities. Even the library and the museum is part of it. So what we did, we said every hall, every auditorium needs its own atmosphere, with an own foyer. And where the things, then we, over these different auditorium, we make a roof, and where the roof touches the park, it becomes the open air theater. That was the idea. Because for us, it was unique to make such a big performing arts center as part of the experience of a park. So going to the theater already starts in the park. And what is very essential, I always have to explain to people, is that this is the concert hall lyric, it's now the back box with recital and players. It's really open in between. The wind blows through the building. That's why it's a tropical building. And our dream was that there will be this informal performing arts. Even if you never pay a ticket, the building will be very successful. And of course, it's very essential to do the whole functionality and the crowd handling and how to deal that. I'll show you quickly. Oh, no, and that was something else. So this was I'm see if this is a movie or not, I don't know. For us it was important dressing up for the night. At 6 o'clock it becomes dark, then you go to the performance. So we wanted to create a space, an outdoor space, what we call the Banyan Plaza, that you could adjust depending on what kind of performance it is in the city or in the theater itself. So we call it dressing up for the night. It's funny for me to see this movie. We won this competition in, I think it was 2007. But here you can see very well how open it is, how much it is part of the public space. You could never make this public space, for instance, in my country, and also not in Malmö. It would not make sense. It's too long for today. I just want to tell you also, you can have dreams. As I told you, every project for me starts with a dream, a kind of almost local dream. So this was the picture made when we won the competition. You can look at my face that you say, okay, how I'm going to do this. Because there's always, I would say, there's always first the hot shower of winning something, and then there's always the cold shower. You don't know how to get it done. So important, it's a huge building. It's like an enormous ocean liner. It's 220 meters long and 160 meters wide. Typhoons, I told you all these things, heavy rainfall, earthquakes. So we made it almost, of course with a structural engineer, almost like a ship on the sea, on the land. How to make the whole construction. It's like bridges between the main auditoria. Also to do the whole of the technique, of the theater technique, because they wanted to have the best technique of the world, of course better than Beijing in it. So this is the lyric theater. And you can see that here you're sitting, but what's all happening backstage is even bigger than what is for the visitors. Controlling all the sidelines, because it's 2,250 seats, what is big for a lyric. The concert hall, as I told you, we want to give every auditorium his own atmosphere. The concert hall is really a kind that everybody sits around the piano player, almost like, I call it like rice fields around the piano player. With a lot of attention for how to deal with the acoustic. This is the 1 of 10 acoustic model. And this is how it was during construction. Also, look, we're now working on the project for 7 or 8 years. Also, this was the competition model. We made handmade by hand carved out of wood, of soft wood. We were very proud of it. But now, many years later, you know, we even do this 3D printing of the banyan skin. And to be honest, I want to take you with me. We had no idea how to make, the rest of the building we knew how to make it. But to deal with this special outdoor-indoor space. It's wet, it's windy, it's, or you can have, how to deal with that, how to materialize. So here we tested what I called a piece of banyan. It was a furniture fair of Milan. We had to make a little pavilion. And that I always want to do these things as testing things. So what we did, we tried, if you look very well, to make it all from a kind of new tiles, ceramic tiles, with a kind of craquelé, of Chinese craquelé. But it was very difficult to make these points, and even the ceiling was very difficult. And we tested at the same time the light, with the light engineer. And that worked very well. We did like that. So this testing, this laboratorium in your office is for me very, very important. And then after many, many research, we came up with the idea to contact, as I told you, it's a harbor city, to visit the Kaohsiung shipyard and bring them in contact with marine shipyard engineers from the Netherlands. We said, hey, they can make it. Then we have a material, if we make it out of steel, and not like a luxury ship, but like a cargo ship. And they can make this, these special forms. We can solve it. And it will give also the people of Kaohsiung, what are, you know, like from a harbor city, they can experience that it's really made like a cargo ship. And so for me, it's almost, this is very much Mecanoo. Inspired by the local banyan tree, and we make it with the local shipbuilding industry. And these engineers, they are so great. They had a whole way, they presented us how they wanted to assemble it, because they have never made such a big building, or even for a ship, it's very big. And how to do this. So just engineers, I'm so happy to work with them. And this is now happening at this moment. So this was a kind of mock-up. So here we're sitting on the mock-up. And for us it was very, you know, what kind of paint? And we had a big discussion with our client because we wanted to show the welding. It should be cargo ship, should not be a luxury ship. And they wanted to have it more smooth, but now we won this fight. And of course it was a big, great groundbreaking ceremony, but also be aware that the country is so colorful, theater is so colorful, and also at night it's so colorful. So we made the whole building totally, the banyan blazer will be totally white. Some construction documents, photos, how it's in the park, the big canopies that we are creating. Here it's not cladded yet. It will have beautiful light inside because we have almost like in the Pantheon in Rome, you have these special moments where you get light in. Here you can see that it's, here you see how they are now making, putting in the elements from the shipbuilding industry. And I would love to show you, here it's how it's part of the park, and in a very, very elegant way. This is where will be the outdoor seating. The park is already realized and very, very well used. So people are really, you feel, as I told you, it's a huge building, but it's so human. It really fits in the scale of the park, and it fits, I think, in the culture of Kaohsiung in Taiwan. So you have a, so this is, here you can see a park that is now finished. We're doing our own park around it, and how it fits in that building. At this moment, and I would love to bring it to Hong Kong, to be honest, we have an exhibition in Berlin, what's called People, Place, Purpose, about public buildings. And what we did, we have beautiful models. We show all the materials. As I told you, we always research what kind of materials we should make for this building. And, but also we made a lot of movies to show to everybody how it is and how to materialize your dreams in different countries in the world. What I could do, I have left, I don't know if everybody wants to run away, but I left 2 movies for you. Should I do that? Because now I'm, I wanted to show it to you because it was a secret, it's 1-minute movie about the Seco Theatre. And just the jury saw it and nobody else, so I thought, why not share it with you? I know that we did not win, but I think it was a lovely film. And I have, but I think maybe, I thought now I have one more movie, but I think you want to give questions. So I thought maybe what I do, I show the movie, but I put the sound out. So people can or listen to me or watch the movie. Is that an idea to solve all your time schedule programs? And is that an idea? But I just want to tell you, we made many movies about all our different projects. They are in the exhibition, but some of them are also on the internet. So if you're interested, I think it's also very, because as architects you can have dreams, and you have to have dreams. And also how to materialize it, and how to work with the local people. That's what we try to express in these documentaries. So enjoy it.
Great. Thank you, Francine. Are there any questions from the audience? Okay. Well, maybe on that note, we should probably, since we are so over, we should probably end this session here. I wanted to just thank, of course, Francine and our other speakers, Ola, SK, Thomas, Lars, and of course Victor Lowe for once again.